it's very interesting because I don't know what your experience was, but I can't talk to many people about this. My experience was I was so glad I got to do it. I loved it, every second of it. Not every second, but I loved a lot of it. And then when it was over, there hasn't been a moment where I've thought, gee, I wish I could be doing that, a late night show again.
Exactly the same.
Because I think I get one life. There's so much to try. There's so much to do. Did that. And so how do you feel?
Exactly the same. I haven't, the only thing I miss really is being part of a gang, like going and sitting with, sitting with people who I am every day would be blown away by how funny they are. I just could not, like, that's what I really miss. Sitting with Ian and Lauren and Cece and Sean and they, like, I just sitting with these people.
That was your mistake. You had funny writers.
My God, did I ever?
I only hired absolute terrible people.
The worst.
Right, Sona? The
they
worst.
Were awful.
Yeah,
and so many of them are in this building.
Oh, they're still here.
Yeah.
They're still. Oh, yeah, but they're not smart enough to figure out how to get into this room.
Okay.
So I'm safe. No, but I know what you mean.
I miss that. I miss the idea of having like an idea in the morning and being like, yeah, let's do it tonight. Like, I remember that, you know, that's what I miss. I certainly don't miss walking out of a curtain and being like, let's have a look and see who's on the show tonight. I don't miss going, stick around, we'll be right back. I don't miss any of the actual doing of the show. I would go so far as to say I haven't thought about it.
Yeah.
The thing I think about is
the people.
Yeah, like I remember the day after the Oscars when the Will Smith Chris Rock thing happened. Like, this was a sort of real example of how our show used to work, where it was like, okay, everybody's going to be talking about that. Everybody's going to be talking about that moment. What's our show's version of that? How do we do that? And it's ticking down. It's now midday, and you're like, okay, we tape at 5. Okay, we're probably just going to do some jokes about it, and we haven't come up with a good idea. And then, you know, one of our writers goes, I think it was Molly who worked on the show, just goes, I've got this written down. I don't have any more than this, but we don't talk about Jada because we don't talk about Bruno was the big song of that year. We don't talk about Jada, and everyone goes, oh, that's it. Okay, great. So now we need to write the song. So Molly, why don't you go with Dave and with Lawrence, and then, okay,
right,
probably need dancers, but hang on, we need dancers who've been COVID tested. And then someone's like, we've just found out there's a Steadicam operator in the building doing a thing for, I don't know whether it was like Dancing with the Stars or whatever. He's COVID tested. He can be here at 6, but we'll have to tape it after. Okay, that's probably a positive. And then it's like, are we going to sing it live? And then that's the thing.
That's the stuff.
And then you're kind of feeding it almost live down the line to be on the East Coast at 9:30 because an idea that happened at midday. And then you get the thrill of the next day. X amount of million people have watched it on YouTube, and you go, that was great. And then the absolute horror of going, oh, fuck, what are we going to do tonight?
Yeah. Did anyone slap anyone last night? I love that. I completely understand. I absolutely loved working with talented, funny people and having the gang aspect of it. And oh, damn it, we just thought of this. We got to throw it together. But the other thing I've missed, and I've mentioned this a couple of times recently, but having a live band as a regular part of my life gave me so much joy. And I realized that it's not so much the show that I miss anymore, but if I could get my band to play when I come down in the morning to get my coffee, and then it's like, well, breakfast was great. We'll take a break. I just loved the power of that. And also being around so much live music all those years.
We've just missed your birthday, right?
Yeah.
I think this is what I would say to the team here. It's unlikely that I'll be here, but I would say for Conan's birthday next year, you should get him a band from
sounds like
when he wakes up in the morning. No, but if you have it from when he won't miss it if
How
they're
about
in
a card.
All right, this is fine.
James,
I thought this was a different environment.
James, this is what
You
we're working.
really do need a friend.
This. That's why I'm not fucking around with the title of that. I need a friend because this is what I get.
Jeez.
A card, and guess what? It won't even be. It will be like a congratulations on your bris card. It won't even be for my birthday.
Yeah, it'll be one we find
You'll
in a
just
drawer.
grabbed it.
Yeah.
But that's fascinating to me that there are little elements you can miss. But I think when it's time to let's go and do the next thing.
I knew for quite a while. I was gonna leave at year 5. I was real close. Like I genuinely had like 1 foot out the door, and then I'm very, very pleased that I chose to stay, because I think then, if I'd left then, I think it would have been way too soon, and I would have thought, oh, what did you leave for? You were just reaping the rewards of it being good, getting good guests, all that stuff.
Yep.
But I really felt like so many things changed from when we started the show. It was like Obama was the president.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was Trump, and then it felt like it changed. And somehow, if you didn't do a deeply political monologue, you were somehow complicit with the Trump organization,
right,
which I didn't quite understand, not being from here. And then it was COVID. So then, like, you're doing a show in your garage, and you're like, well, you're just trying to keep as many of the team in work as you can, and trying to find, jobs and everything for people and stuff like that. And so I was like, it's time to go now. It's time to move away from this. And again, I will always be dumbfounded that it was something I was able to do, that it was something I was even given the opportunity to do. I thought it was a stupid thing to give me the job, or mystifying to give me the job. A year in, I was like, oh, was so stupid. Just some guy from a play. Like, I didn't do a pilot. I didn't do a test. It was just nuts. I had some days where I thought, oh, I think they've hired me to end the franchise.
Well, what I went through, which I do not believe you experienced, was a year into my gig, I could read in the paper, it was a big mistake to give this guy the job. Signed, Conan's dad. That's the twist ending. But it was, but like I say, you can always remake your own reality if you just, like I say, put your stamp on it.
Well, I think I was so certain that it wasn't going to work. I was I was going to work harder than I'd ever worked hard. I was going to do everything I could to make it a success. But I was saying to my wife, like, we will be home within a year.
Yeah.
Like, we rented furniture.
Yeah.
Like, all of our furniture in our first rental, on which me and Conan used to live on the same road.
You lived right up the street from me, and we realized that. So you came over to my house because I was not going to sit on rental furniture.
Correct. Yeah. Well, I would have been embarrassed if you.
And I was a real prick about it. I said, you said, please come in, and I said, if that looks like rental furniture, I will not come in.
Correct. Well, then you were right, because I would drive past your house, and it was only when I was driving past your house and I had to fill up with gas halfway through the hedgeways of your roads, I was like, wow, this is quite the property.
I bought 7 homes. And I had them all stitched together.
Yeah.
And it's hideous, but it was pure ego. Just pure ego. But
it's a beautiful. I always used to enjoy because I used to drive past you, and you would be your kids would be getting on the bus to go to school, and I'd be driving mine down to school because they were like, they didn't get on the bus because it was they were much younger, and I'd always enjoy. Sometimes we'd wave, and sometimes you wouldn't see me, and I would really, I genuinely mean this from the bottom of my heart. Yeah. I would say this happened about 6 or 7 times. If you are lucky enough to watch Conan O'Brien hugging his kids and putting them on a bus, you're like, oh man, that's some real dad goals. Because my kids were.
Here's the problem: those weren't my kids.
Oh God!
Yeah, and it ended badly.
That really.
That's such a nice thing.
Why?
Why did I do that?
No.
You really.
That was such a nice thing, and I don't know why I did that.
No,
Now,
I used to look and I used to think, oh, that is genuinely. I know this sounds so silly. I mean it. I used to look and think, oh, that's it. That's it. If you can keep a relationship with your kids that long that they want to hug you on a bus before they get on the bus, it's like
true.
that's a great thing, you know. And I look at my kid and go, why can't you be like that? No.
Your kid's in the back seat smoking a cigarette.
No, then I'd realize.
Move on, Dad.
Then I'd realize I'd forgotten the kids. And be like, no.
Yeah. So okay, it's funny too because I read an interview where you, I believe you mentioned this David Bowie quote that really resonated with you.
Yeah.
And I'm such a Bowie fan, and because I was lucky enough to be doing my show back when we were able to have him on.
Oh man.
And
wow.
do a bit with him, and he was on a couple of times, and he was such a nice man.
Yeah.
Such a lovely man to me, to the point that once I was in some club watching a show and someone tapped me on the shoulder and it was David Bowie and he was with Iman and he was just like, hey, he saw me and he came over and just wanted to say hi. And I thought, he's such a gentleman, such a lovely man.
Have you seen the film? Have you seen Moonage Daydream?
Yes.
Oh my God. I mean,
such a lovely man.
I never met David Bowie, but I felt like I was catching up with an old friend when I watched that film. It's like, man.
So what is it he said that spoke to you when you were thinking of moving on?
I mean, I would honestly watch this clip like sometimes multiple times a day because I was really walking away from a contract offer that I was pretty certain I'm never going to earn money like that again. I'm pretty certain that won't come my way again. And he says in this clip, he says you should never try and fulfill other people's expectations. Never try and fulfill other people's expectations. And then he says, and I go so far as to say, if you're comfortable in the area that you're working in the wrong area. And if you should always swim a little further out.
Yep.
So the water's at your chin and your feet are just scraping the bottom. And if you feel slightly scared and you feel out of control in it, you're probably in about the right place to do something very interesting. And I just used to watch it all the time and go, no, I am too comfortable here. I think if I stay, it's not that I'd be miserable. I didn't think that in any way. I was very happy doing it. I loved doing it. I loved doing all the people that I was working with. But I was like, if this can't be the last thing I do.
Yeah.
It can't be. I have to go and see I have to go a little further into the water. I have to go a little further into the woods and see what else is there. Safe in the knowledge that it might be nothing. Safe in the knowledge that it might never ever be as big as this again, or as acclaimed or talked about in any of those things. But I'm about to do a play at the Old Vic in London for 8 weeks. I've never in my life felt more scared.
Really?
Than what I'm about to do.
Have you played the Old Vic before?
I've never played at the Old Vic, but it's because it's a really, really serious play. It's a really serious, called The Constituent.
Yep.
And I've never been more. When I say I've never been more scared, what I mean is I have woken up in the night, I think for the last 2 weeks, terrified by the notion that I will forget the words. Because I've just never ever done anything like this before. Mm-hmm. But that's the reason to do it.
Yeah, but it's again, it's to be able to say, I
ruined the Old Vic.
I was the last person to play the Old Vic.
Shut it down.
Aren't you the one? That's me.
That's me.